All right, y'all. I don't want to read too much into it, but at the same time, I have to say it's happening. It is happening. So we all know that the Republicans have taken a massive hit in the second Trump term because literally everything they're trying to do is wildly unpopular and evil. Well, we've had a special election in South Carolina State District House 50. Granted, it's a small election, but this is all we have to go off right now to read the tea leaves and see the winds of the country, right? Look at this. Dems win another special election. Keyshawn Scott got 76.2% of the vote. Now, this was earlier on in the counting process. Hold on, I'll give you the update in a second. But the Republican got 23%. This is a district Kamala won by 5 points. We're talking over 50 in the early counting of this district. But let me give you more. I actually have updated numbers here. Democrat Keyshawn Scott wins the special election for South Carolina's 50th State House District, defeating Republican William Oden by over 41 points in a district Kamala won by about 5 in 2024. So the Democrat got 70% of the vote. The Republican got 29% of the vote. This was Harris 51, Trump 45.8. So this is a lean left district, like a barely lean left district. We're talking over 40-point colossal victory. This is what we're talking about. Now, by the way, I need you to stop and think for a second. The only reason Democrats would have this crushing a victory at this point is literally just negative polarization. In other words, the Republicans are so horrifying that we got to get away from this, right? We got to get away from this. Can you imagine for a second if you mix the negative polarization, which is happening all across this country right now with normies, liberals, leftists, even center-right people, mix that with the Democratic Party with an actual agenda for the people that is aggressive with it. It's aggressive with it. Free college, free healthcare, higher wages, unions for all, money out of politics, ending the corruption, no more wars, right? Stop sending tax money and weapons to human rights abusing nations. If you just ran on that and were aggressive with it, plus the negative polarization against Republicans, oh my God, we would be looking at FDR levels, bro. By the way, for those of you who don't know, FDR won 4 presidential elections. 4. This was before we had term limits, right? 4. And at his peak, the Democrats had 80% of the House and 80% of the Senate because people loved FDR that much because he delivered with the New Deal and got us out of the Great Depression. When you materially deliver for people and you have an agenda that's popular, and people see, I mean, in some ways, this is the opposite, right? People are just seeing how horrifying the Republicans are and they're voting for Democrats in large numbers. Again, imagine if you had the Republicans being objectively this horrible and Democrats standing for all the right things and being aggressive about it. It would be, oh my God, it would be game, set, match. It would be over before it fucking began, bro. It would be over before it began. And this is just the beginning, right? This is just the beginning. I always say this to you guys. Reality always catches up eventually. I grant you that Donald Trump is a master at manipulating reality and making people think his version is true. I grant you that. But reality always catches up eventually. And when you're dealing with this bill that slashes Medicaid, slashes Medicare, massive tax cuts for the rich, when you're dealing with Elon Musk's cuts like we were just talking about, slashing pediatric cancer research, Meals on Wheels, nuclear safety officials, destroying the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, cutting FEMA, cutting the Department of Education, firing 83,000 veterans, firing 250,000 public sector workers, closing half the Social Security offices, getting rid of routine food safety inspections, air traffic controllers, like the carnage and the devastation, right? Plus all the warmongering overseas and we're going to take Gaza and genocide in front of our eyes. Like, people are snapping. They're snapping looking at how horrifying this is. And this is just a small district in one state. But when you go from a 5-point win to a 41-point win, I'll be damned if that doesn't universalize, right? I'll be damned if it doesn't. Because this is Trump unchained, Trump unhinged. This is no guardrails, no sanity, no concern for the Constitution or due process, locking up innocent people, sending them to a concentration camp in El Salvador, right? Trade war, which is raising prices for people for everyday goods. You put all this together, it is a perfect brew for a massive Democratic win. But again, I want to reiterate, it's one thing for people to just vote for you because the Republicans are so horrifying. It's another thing if you also give them something to vote for. Then we're talking FDR numbers. Then we're talking game, set, match. We're talking about the Republicans being gone for a generation, assuming we have free and fair elections, which is a big assumption, by the way. So there you have it. It's one election, it's tiny, but it speaks to the national mood, and in a sense, this is GOP Armageddon. And if they continue down this path they're going, this is only going to get even stronger. If Republicans keep going down this path, and then Democrats get even a little bit better, right? As they are. Just carnage, brutal, devastation, apocalypse, Armageddon. Just GOP utter implosion. And this could be the beginning of it here. All right, guys. That's the show, y'all. You know the drill. Everybody, please click like, click subscribe, all that stuff. It really helps out big time in the algorithm. Thank you to everybody who supports the show on Patreon. If you'd like to help out, that link is below. It really goes a long way. I've never talked to an advertiser. I've never done an ad read. We go through small dollar donations through you guys and the default ads on YouTube. Very proud of that model that we built. Also, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends. That link is below. We're talking to Shoykat Chakrabarty this week. One of the founders of Justice Democrats with me, was AOC's chief of staff, now running against Nancy Pelosi. That should be a great conversation. And go subscribe to Corin's World, because we're trying to get him to 100,000, and we post all the Kyle and Corin episodes over there. All right. Love you guys. I'll see you later. Peace. Hey, y'all. Do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.